And we are live. How's everyone out there doing?
Heyo, everybody. How's it going?
So, y'all ready to talk about some social media fuckery?
Is there any other kind?
Oh, in today's day and age? No. There we go. Trying to make sure that I wasn't going to have the stream pop up randomly, you know what I mean? It's like, why are we hearing double? Oh, wait, I forgot to pause the stream. But,
That would do it.
well, I mean, where to really start? I mean, this is quite frankly, Gorgonite actually commented on the triggering I put out earlier, talking about the Nick Monroe bit, which we are going to definitely talk about, guaranteed. But
I'm pretty sure we will. That's is kind of a big deal.
oh man, like Twitter needs the bad press. Like let's be honest, it's a blatantly obvious. They don't want him talking about situations because how many official narratives has he destroyed? How many official narratives has he sat there and been like, oh, let's see how that's not right. Let's talk about what's really going on here. And it's deconstructed various things and has entire, or had, because they're all gone now, entire threads that was all about him basically calling out the bullshit that Twitter was doing. Or, the mainstream narrative, including Twitter, because, I stated, Jack Dorsey had said before, you know, oh, wait, if it wasn't for journalists, Twitter wouldn't be a thing.
If uh, if I remember correctly, on there. Oh, hey, there's Gorgonite. Um, if I remember right, it specifically said that he was permanently banned for evading a permanent ban.
How?
I
That's
I really like. I think I remember some time ago he was banned, but Twitter, saw all that it was a mistake and allowed him back on. So if he's evading a permanent ban, which is against their terms of service, do do we say that Twitter violated their own terms of service by allowing him back on?
all right. It's one of those like, how did he evade a permanent ban when he's had the same account that was reinstated? Like so he evaded a ban by having the same account with the same amount of the same followers and everything. And it's one of those like that one meme of the lady sitting there like, and you're seeing all the trigonometry and everything floating about.
This isn't this isn't how it works. This is not how it works at all.
It's like, you got
This is not how any of this works.
no, it really is not. It's like you're saying he's evading a ban when you reinstate his account. No, let's call it what it really is. It's pure and simple. They got tired of him making not only the journalists look bad, because once again, Jack Dorsey said, if it wasn't for the journalists, Twitter wouldn't be anything. So you have that, and then you have the fact that the basically he's called out Twitter, he's called out Facebook, he's called out the lies, he called out what they did to Paul Joseph Watson, to InfoWars, to Laura Loomer, to all these various groups that have been censored and banned needlessly because of the fact that, and it's like Tim Pool often points out, these major news organizations are failing. They're not getting the views they need. They're not able to get the, advertisers that they were able to get a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're thrashing about and they're trying to bring down anyone else with them that they can because, quite frankly, that's all they have left anymore. They don't have anything that could be classified as solid, like journalistic integrity. Like prime example, CNN just announced that they're doing more layoffs when just 3 weeks ago the eunuch himself, Brian Stelter, was all like, "No, we're not doing layoffs. It's just a buyout. We're just trying to free things up a little bit here." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you already know what the story's going to be. We've seen the same old song and dance time and time again. They're not gonna call Nick a journalist. They'll say he's something retarded, like I don't know, an alt-right influencer or something.
Oh yes, oh yes, an alt-right influencer. When, if I remember correctly, politically he's center-left libertarian.
You you think at this point they really care at like they don't even care if they're making themselves look bad or if they're really just shooting themselves in the foot. They've stopped caring for a good decade or so now.
Well,
It's all becoming tiresome.
well, what's funny is I remember back in the day, right? And I often say that, I reference the one friend that's whatnot Portlandite now, was from here and everything, and how back in the day I was like, no, Fox News is actually fairly, they're pretty accurate. Back when the one, it was the I think it's like the Arizona governor or something like that that got shot. Gabbard, I do believe was the name or something like that. Not Gabbard.
Mm,
But you know what I'm talking about, like 2011, 2012, around then, right?
yeah.
And like Fox News was the only one that was saying, "Hey, we need to pull back on our rhetoric. People got shot. This isn't cool, man. Maybe we do need to." And you hear CNN, HLN, MSNBC, all of them just double down, doing what they always do. What's up, Metro? And speaking of alt-right, let's give a warm welcome to the newest symbol, the hashtag. Yeah, that we'll be talking about that. Give us time. We're not there yet. We got a lot to talk about. But
Oof.
yeah. But no, it's really one of those, like, when that happened, Fox News was saying, quite frankly, let's chill it out. We need to cut back on the rhetoric. We need to get back to talking about what really matters. Let's get this country going. CNN and all the rest didn't. They were continuing to double down. And see, even I stopped citing Fox News because, there was no way of saying that to prove to the left that they were credible. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, NewsGuard. Now that is a left wing, technically, news source that will give a pass to so many left wing media outlets that really shouldn't be getting a pass, but they cited Fox as credible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. So now I get to rub down the face, and I can use Fox News as a citable source now. And then when they sit there and try to be like, well, Occupy Democrats, Fox News is wrong. Occupy Democrats is not even citable source by y'all's standards. So, sorry, guy, you can't use it. But but that's the thing. Like, Nick Monroe is technically a very citable source. He's credible. He does his research and he does it well. He calls the bullshit when he sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why I agree with Will Chamberlain when he says that social media access should be a right at this point. A pure right. I mean, it's because the fact that these various platforms have replaced and may I say, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation about censorship, and it seems like every time it comes up, I feel like we're going around in circles because of the fact that these idiots on the left won't stop doing it. And it doesn't matter how many times that the same censorship gets used against them, i.e. the artist that was just censored on Facebook for her anti-Trump art, which turned the MAGA hat into Klan hoods and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how many times their own rule bites them in the ass, they still call for more censorship. And it's like, you dumb motherfuckers. Just stop it. Just stop it.
And they're just gonna wind up hanging themselves without even realizing it time and time again.
Well, I miss the old left, dude. I really do. I miss the old left where you could actually sit down and disagree with them and talk to them, and they would actually be like, okay, you present a valid point. I can't beat that.
Yeah, gone are the days of the highlight of the of the YouTube skeptic community.
Pretty much. Pretty much, and that's it's funny you mentioned the skeptic community because that's where Nick, if I remember, that's where Nick Monroe originally got noticed was by the skeptic community. They started helping him, get out there.
Oh yeah, he was a pretty good, I guess you could say, decentralized information hub. He managed to get a lot of stuff without a whole lot of political leanings one way or the other. Though he'll talk about his own personal beliefs every once in a while, but for the most part, you can just get what you needed to know without too much spin, and that'll be the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
in his threads about events he decides to investigate get so incredibly detailed that it's hard to not use it.
It's like take the Covington kid situation. He was one of the first people to really, if I remember, he was the first person to break that, to show the full video and everything. To show
Yeah,
really
it was thanks to him I got most of the pictures and the videos about that whole debacle.
think about that. And it's like, it's what's up, Neo Star? But
Oh, we got Neo.
yeah, but and that's the thing. Like them censoring him just goes to show they're afraid of him. It's not, and most of these censorships, you have the ones that they do for purely to quiet down the left wing activists because, so once again, quote Tim, they're the ones that show up with Molotov cocktails and doing destruction of property and things like that, wearing masks and whatnot, to where they can't be caught, which is why they need to enforce. Like, did you know that there's federally a anti-mask law?
And in plenty of places they only, and at a great many places the only legal way you can wear face masks is if it's at a certain temperature outside and you're using it to keep yourself warm.
Yeah, but the whole point.
Because cold air and lungs do not mix.
No, but the whole point being is it's originally meant to fight Democrat, or not Democrats, but the KKK, which were originally Democrat. Actually, they're still technically Democrat. It's funny. It's funny. The tactics changed, but their ideology didn't. They just got better at hiding it. And
I mean, they're still very much interacting with the Democratic bigwigs still today. I mean, like do you remember all the pictures of Hillary Clinton with the Duke during the 2016 election?
Hillary Clinton being endorsed by a grand wizard in the KKK and things like that.
Yeah,
but it's only a problem.
And I apologize to everyone for me not being on top of my speaking game. I'm kind of in the mix of being tired and freezing to death inside my own house.
It happened.
Yeah.
But and I like that. Don't forget the peak ism that happened with Commie Twatter recently, refusing to say that it's bad to kill.
Oh God, I remember that whole. I remember that whole thing with Panda.
Yeah, it's just really. It's like sometimes, and Neo says sometimes I think the media is more afraid of the fringe left than in support of it. And what's up, Rebirth? Nice to see you here.
I say it's kind of a mix of both. It's a mix of them wholeheartedly believing in the cause, as well as also believing that if they falter in their resolution, they got the Inquisition to talk to.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very valid point. And once again, Nick Monroe stood in the face of that Inquisition and gave him a goddamn finger and said, "Go to hell." He didn't care. He wasn't afraid of him. Basically, we're talking about the Nick Monroe getting banned from Twitter for ban evasion, even though they reinstated his account and he wasn't evading any ban. Like, pure and simple.
Kind of hard to evade a ban that was pretty much wavered.
Pretty much. And it's but
it just makes me think that Twitter doesn't really have itself all put to, like, you can say whatever you want about Twitter with it having its political biases for and against, but even if they do have their biases, the company can still be all together and, like well structured within its own means. But yeah, when you see situations like this, you can only just help but think that Twitter is just falling apart administration wise.
Oh, they are. They are. You know, Jack Dorsey doesn't have control of his company. That's why he had. That's why Vijaya Sergey was there when Tim Pool was going to be on Tim Brogan. They were going to have the discussion because Jack Dorsey knew if he were to do that with just himself, it would have he would have been crushed. And I still stand by, like I even stated earlier in my video about the Nick Monroe situation. Tim Pool has the patience of the state because I would have been calling them on their shit the whole time. Been like, nope, you're full of shit. You're lying. I can prove it. Just all I need to do is bring up the people who's been being banned. It's all going in one direction, and your rules are blatantly ideologically driven, and it's only supported by the far left. There's even people on the normal left that don't support your ideas.
Yeah. And Rebirth, to answer your question, it's sort of like what Gorgonite says. The idea of a permanent suspension or a ban is that you're no longer allowed to be on the website so long as the ban is in effect. So if they find out that you've created an alternative account, they'll count it as evading the ban because again, the idea is that you're no longer allowed on the site. So even your alt accounts can't be used if any of your other accounts were permanently banned.
And let's not forget, they also banned the Krasensteins for bullshit reasons. Whether you like the Krasensteins or not, I don't like them, but I don't agree with them being banned. I would like to publicly mock them and make them look stupid as often as possible, because that's what they are. They're a couple of dumb ideologues, but I don't agree with them being banned. Look, they say light is the best disinfectant for any bad idea, but when you are keeping the bad ideas in the dark, how is light the best disinfectant? And the real white supremacists and white nationalists and individuals that they are trying to keep off the platform just evolve with the times and find new and creative ways to do exactly what they were doing beforehand. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed is the fact that now people that could push back against them aren't there. And,
if I remember right, when I learned that the Krasensteins were banned, I did the joking dig that, oh hey, they got banned. Twitter finally did something right. The only reason why I made that joke is because it's one of the very, very rare instances where Twitter has finally, played an even hand in terms of their political biases, where, it's a moment where both sides got shitted on. Granted, I'd rather neither people get shitted on due to political biases, but I can at least acknowledge when there's, an equal hand and punishment.
yeah.
But then apparently they got their accounts back in like no time flat. So hey, Twitter did something quote unquote right and then corrected the mistake.
And Neostar, I completely agree. I really do. But let's be honest, it's a situation where one, even if the Krasensteins are still banned, let me check that real quick. I'm gonna move this over here, because
Yeah, if I remember right, there's been two people saying they got their accounts back.
I'm going to check. Let's do Krasenstein. I think it's Ed and Brian, correct?
I think so.
And
Actually, I'm not seeing any. Crescentines. I could have sworn some people have said that they had their accounts back, but I'm not seeing a
Nope,
Crescentine affiliate account.
nope.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of joke accounts, but not any actual crest. Like they are not on there. And what's up, humble Marty? But the whole point of the situation still stands that they are doing this, and the only reason why they are even banning people like them is
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that, oh man, I'm gonna have to check that out. But here in a minute. But the only reason why they did it is so people can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, yeah, it's all going in one direction." Da, 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 da. It was purely politically driven. It was let's go ahead and ban these guys, not because they've actually done something to deserve it, but because of the fact that if they ban them, or if we ban them, they can sit there. They can't say that we don't ban our side from doing it. And I like good answer, Gorgonite. Very good answer. It's like, and it literally is. But it's.
I'd say it's either very much a curse of power or the draw of power, where the individuals get very fucked up in one way or the other, or because they're fucked up, they go to positions of power, and always the very first victims of these instances is always the children, due to their innocent nature as well as the nature of the abuser wanting to assert dominance over something else. Children are very much weaker compared to other
It's not.
adults, so it allows them to easily, just easily, uh, act upon their nature.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's just a hell of a thing.
they use the natural they use kids' naivete to their advantage, and it's like, think about it. Look at the majority of these activists that are out now. They're either millennials. They're quite frankly they're the guys that are our age, that were indoctrinated into the if you will, left wing ideology at a young age, who are more often than not, have grievance studies degrees, and they all agree with this ideology of censorship, that believe in things like hate speech. And like I've stated time and again, there's no such thing as hate speech. There's only speech. Not hate speech, speech. If just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's hate speech. Just because it's, meh, 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 oh, you're talking about a specific group, that's hate speech. No, it's just speech. Just speech. It may not be nice speech, but it's still speech. And what makes it worse is it's the fact that when you sit there and say, oh, well, hate speech needs to be banned, hate speech is also very subjective. Very subjective. And if I remember right, that's what they originally tried banning Nick Monroe on, was hate speech.
Yeah, and that didn't work out too well for them, since after a big old fuss, they reinstated his account.
Mm-hmm. Because they knew they had nothing. Yeah, I like that. It doesn't help that Twitter's rules have more holes in them.
Then Swiss cheese shot with an AK-47.
Uh huh.
Uh,
And it really is. It's like it's specifically done. It's a It's not rules. Or probably like a blanket of rules. It's a patchwork quilt of rules with massive holes in it, specifically designed to only cover areas where one side disagrees.
yeah, that seems to be the deal with most websites and companies nowadays, where they always have to make everything as vague as possible, but seem like they're good rules, so that way they can just punish people for any given grievances they really desire, and then pick and choose whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, it's literally the case, and it's what makes it worse is the fact that they act like we don't see it, even though we see it. Yes, we do. We see it often. We're not dumb. We've been looking at the situation for a while now, going, "That's not right. Why are you doing this? And this is gonna backfire on you." Because think about it. I didn't get a chance to watch it because I kind of got. I'll admit I missed the. Didn't realize what time it was, so I didn't catch Tim Pool's videos the way I normally do. But by the looks of it, his last video that he uploaded at 5:30, it's all about how now the normies on the left are joining the right in anti censorship and everything, and it's like this is not going to work out in your favor. You far left ideologues are only going to end up hurting yourself because sooner or later, people are just going to say, you know what, I'm fucking done. I'm joining. It's like what I said in the video earlier. You're seeing more and more people be pushed to the right. Everyone's saying you're only pushing people to the right. You're only hurting your position just because you're willing to be violent and whatnot quickly doesn't mean your average Democrat is willing to be violent. But it's the right's willing to match force. Your average Democrat is, let's be honest, pacifistic. They don't believe in violence, and that is to be respected. I am not going to fault them for that. That is something that I believe we all could benefit from. That we shouldn't have to immediately jump to violence. What we should do is try to, as Bruce Lee would say, be like water.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the right, on the other hand, they're willing to match force. If you come at them with force, they will come at you with force. And who do you think is going to be the one protecting the normie Democrats? Who do you think is going to be the one stepping in front of those Democrats going, no, you're not going to attack this guy? Sure as fuck ain't going to be the far left. It's going to be the right. So what do you think is going to happen? The left's going to come to the right's going to come to the defense of the left. The right's going to come to the defense of people like Nick Monroe, like Tim Pool, like Six Hexenhammer, like Dave Rubin, like, Ben Shapiro, and things like that. They're going to come to the defense of these guys because of the fact that they're not just going to let you guys shit all over them. Because they have principles, they have morals, they also have a freaking backbone. But
right now, I'm currently thinking about how the I'm just imagining a bunch of colonial British people talking about colonists complaining about taxes as hate speech and saying that and blaming the French for supporting terrorism.
Right, and organize. Yes, I'm technically a centrist. I believe that prior to the crazy far leftists taking over the Democrats, old school liberals, they had a lot of valid points. They had a lot of very valid points, but so does the right. That's the thing. I believe in freedom of religion. I don't believe Christianity should be the dominant religion because the whole point of America was religious freedom. That's what the original Pilgrims came here for, was religious freedom. So, and that's one of the things I firmly believe. I don't care what religion you are. I'm a neo-Olympian, as all of y'all know. I follow the Greek gods. But doesn't mean I don't like Christians, doesn't mean I don't like Muslims, doesn't mean I don't like Jews or any other group. It just means I follow the Greek pantheon. You are welcome to, follow whatever religion you want. But that's the thing. These far left ideologues pushing their censorship, pushing for a specific group to have religious freedom while everyone else, can't. And they openly attack Jews like it's going out of style. Oh, gee, where have we seen this before? And I'm just saying. Oh, hey, I understand, Neostar. I understand. It's really sad that, the once rational left. Because the whole thing is the back in the 90s, for instance, it was the right that was constantly sitting there thumping a Bible, calling for censorship, calling for this, calling for that. And it was the left being like, no, that's not what America was founded on. You know what I mean?
Gone are the days where things were as simple as just laughing at conservatives because they had no way to argue against evolution. Now,
All right.
we got whatever mess we got now.
Correction, Gorgonite. That was Australia was the dumping ground. America was where everyone ran to get away from England and whatnot.
Well, not necessarily. We were founded on tobacco plantations.
Well, they did, send over a lot of the slaves from like Ireland and Scotland and whatnot, and of course, the African American slaves and what.
America was supposed to be the thing that was supposed to be making the money. Meanwhile, Australia was the dumping grounds, and both just didn't work out well.
Nope, Australia, because it's fucking Australia. I mean,
it's you just dumped a bunch of prisoners on Mad Max the continent. Yeah, that there was no way that was ever going to be contained.
Oh. And America, well, let's just say we became very rebellious very quickly.
You got a bunch of not bumpkins, but a lot of working class people, and some minor nobility across the seas on a giant landmass with nearly limitless economic potential, and you're not going to give them the time of day for anything. Yeah, that was not going to be contained either.
Nope. And on top of that, they tried instituting gun control, and basically the founding fathers were like, nope, we're not having any of that. You can take your gun control and put that where it belongs, right up your assholes.
I mean, I still love that people say that there's no way the founding fathers would have had today's guns in mind, despite the fact that the founding fathers even let people keep live and armed cannons and cannonballs.
The fact that they already had fully auto firearms at the time, because the first fully automatic weapon was actually embedded in like 1617. Yes, no, they had no idea that fully auto in a rifle form was going to be doable. No.
And even if auto weapons weren't a thing, the founding fathers weren't idiots. They know that over time technology improves, so they would know that there would be a time period where there would be firearms the likes of which they could never imagine.
Benjamin Franklin was a fucking inventor.
I mean, he pretty much invented most of the things we use today in his own time period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what Dusko was talking about. You can own your own destroyer. The fringe left accuses Trump and conservatives of being Nazis, yet ignore anti-Semitic views from their own constituents. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's sad, and it's why, the big issue. It's like which to move on. It's like with Facebook, for instance. The recent bannings and whatnot, and how they banned Louis Farrakhan and then they went a step too far and they banned CrossFit's page, and then reinstated it quickly because they realized, oh shit, we fucked up. This is one of the people making us money, and now CrossFit shut down their page. Last year, Elon Musk shut down the Tesla Facebook page, and then a couple other businesses as well shut it down last year, and you're seeing big major corporations start to flee Facebook, and I don't want them to just flee Facebook. Shut down your Instagram account too. Shut down your Instagram. Leave that entire thing behind, because you know what? As long as Instagram still has these corporations, Facebook ain't losing money. They're just losing, people off of Facebook. It's why I believe, and which makes the fact that Facebook is hiring antitrust lawyers a bit, I guess you could say a bit of open and blatant foreshadowing to what they feel is going to happen. That they're going to be broken up under antitrust laws, and they know it. Like, it's sad. And like, you heard about that, right?
I've been hearing about a lot of stuff. It's 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 really hard to keep track of most of this stuff.
That
Especially when you're trying to balance, your own creative projects and trying to get a job. It's all time consuming.
that's what you got me for, guy. That's what you got me for. I follow this shit way too closely, especially since, like I said, Saturday I'll have a new phone, be able to actually follow my news when I'm not at the house. Oh, it'll be on like Donkey Kong, bruh.
Yeah, I used to keep track of all this stuff too, but that's before I'm just tired 24/7 because holy crap, dealing with other people's bullshit is exhausting.
I'm used to it. I'm used to being tired. Like it's one of those. I would rather be tired knowing that I'm at least trying to stay informed and push back against the fuckery going on within our country than be well rested and blindsided, if you will, by the far left and the ideologues destroying our nation.
Yeah.
It's a
I
trade off.
I just only wanted to play video games and watch Godzilla.
Hey, hey, I understand. I understand. It's it's one of those. I'd like to play video games. I'd like to do this. I'd like to do that. But sometimes sacrifices must be made. I'm just saying. Like, probably as soon as we're done with the stream, that's probably what I'm going to do. Probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But
After we're done with this stream, I got a game I need to DM with a couple of the guys.
Yep. I remember you telling me about that.
Gorgonite. Correction. I like sleep. I just absolutely fucking hate going to sleep and coming out of sleep. Sleep itself is fine. It's the going to and getting out part that's fucking bullshit.
It happens, guy. It happens. Like, it's just, you're talking to a dude.
It's like every time I try to go to sleep, I spend hours thinking, while you're here just laying down doing nothing, you could be doing something.
I know. I've been there.
And then when trying to come out of it, it's like, it took you forever to go to sleep. You could just stay asleep and enjoy it.
Yeah. No. Like, for me, it's a bit different. It's a bit different. I lay down. I'm getting comfortable. Got my cat. All happy. You remember that really cringeworthy thing you did back in like 1997? Yeah, you do now.
Yeah. Yeah, when we're sure, I definitely get those moments where if I really, if I couldn't get to sleep, my mind starts screwing itself over with. Let's just say my mind is its own worst enemy a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. But nah, dude, to get back on to topic and whatnot, because we still got a lot to talk about. Like that,
I've only ever wanted to be a big name creator, do crossovers with some of my favorite franchises. Now I'm worried the industry will be too corrupted to work in. Oh, Neo, the fact you're an indie doing your own thing rather than, wasting your time and energy trying to placate to the mainstream and work, slave hours and wages there. You already fucked yourself over with that dream.
right, and which is a great segue into you know, the whole Captain Marvel clip that everyone's talking about and everything. The I like that. Well said, Gorgonite. But the whole well, you need a hand? Why don't you smile for me? And then Captain
I
Marvel,
had that.
you know, am I the only one that sees? Well, I know I'm not. Everyone who's watching this has probably seen that clip, cringed, and wondered what the hell, why. See, my whole thought is, where the hell is Kevin Feige with when it comes to Captain Marvel? Where the hell was he? There's so many gaffes and things wrong with that movie that Kevin Feige
I
never let happen with the previous movie.
I have no idea. And really, the only I guess you could say credible argument I've ever seen anyone try to defend the scene has made is the fact that in the point at the point like granted I have not seen the movie. I got no interest in seeing the movie. This is just stuff that I've heard, but supposedly at that point within the story of the movie, Captain Marvel is very much on the villain's side, you know, with the whole brainwash, mumbo jumbo, this, that, and the other. But that is immediately hard countered with apparently the fact that Captain Marvel still believes herself to be a hero, you know, out there defending planets from enslavement and destruction and this, that, and the other, and she has no idea how humans interact with one another. So she has no frame of reference in terms of wondering if what the guy did was technically out of line with human Earthling culture. It was a personal annoyance to herself,
Yeah,
and James, I'm just maiming the guy, robbing him,
stealing clothes from the store.
stealing clothes from a shop where she should have an idea of, coming from a highly advanced civilization herself, and almost ends up caught. Well, I think she actually does end up causing a freaking traffic accident. It's
Yeah,
like well, what the hell?
and it's funny because Gorgonite touches on the whole the Terminator 2 scene. Yeah, one thing that's different. Arnold is a robot in that scene, and on top of
Yeah,
that,
he's a literal killing machine, coupled with the fact that on demanding clothes and vehicle from the guy, just about everyone in that bar started to attack him. So he also had self-defense activation going on.
yeah, it's just one of those, like, if you really
I mean,
want.
like, he literally had to be taught not to kill.
Thank you. Key thing there. Literally had to be taught. Alright, Captain Marvel did not need to be taught how to, you know, not to kill. Like, she just.
I still very much loved the tweet that I did to someone who did the whole, oh, Captain Marvel only did what every other woman would have done and what I would like to do, but I can't because I'm weak and too afraid. It's like, oh, so the only reason why you're not going on a maiming spree on anyone who gives you even the slightest bit of inconvenience is because you're weak and a coward? Like, there's pathetic, and then there's whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, and I like that Neostar. That scene was an example of disproportionate retribution. Yeah, it really was. And, like, what makes that whole scene so just cringy is the fact that anyone who's not a sociopath would look at that scene and go, that's something somebody who doesn't have any, like, respect for others would do, that has no problem hurting people would do. That's not somebody who's empathetic would do. I'm just saying. I mean, come on. Uh,
Uh,
Like
j-
Captain Marvel would have been demoted to toilet duty if she did that in the Air Force.
Actually, no. I think it was a natural for real woman who did that whole thing.
Yeah,
Eh.
and oh yeah, we don't forget we got to talk about the Kick Vic thing coming out. Basically, the whole bit where some don't remember exactly who it was, but it was one of the Kick Vic guys. Come to find out, he's a super fucking like creeper and whatnot, and it hits on all the young ladies in his character voices and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. It just goes back to the Gamergate days where the detractors are the ones guilty of all this stuff they blame Gamergate for.
Uh huh. It's just and like the whole thing is just constant culture war BS anyway. Let's just be honest. Let's call it for what it is. Rules for thee, but not for me. We can be as violent and as grotesque and horrible as we want. But the minute your side does it, we're going to call you a bunch of fascist authoritarians because, my projection. Yeah, like that resets clock. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. The
Is it DC Douglas? I remember he got into a lot of shenanigans because of shit.
well, let me just
I know there was a thing where people tried to use regular Kickvic arguments against him because he took a picture of him fondling a woman's tits while her husband took the picture.
yeah, it's like really
That was a whole thing. At least I remember that was DC Douglas.
like I'm trying to find the actual like uh bit it was actually like I said it was Vercata Law that tweeted it out. I'm looking for it now. Like so I can actually and once I find it I'll screen share. What you say?
I I like I I like Ricada Law. He's he's ultimately a pretty good guy. He can be pretty crass at times, but you know he he does do what is right. Like he's the one who basically freaking did all the hey, let's give Vic and Tom, the money they need for their trial cases, and do all their I get as much support as possible for their cases, and it's just ultimately hilarious every time anyone tries to like out lawyer him. Is absolutely hilarious.
Right.
All right, so let's. Oh,
Yeah, it's what I was talking about. But it's like
oh boy.
literally this is what Makeda posted. It's like he's literally the only voice actor I've seen that gets incredibly handsy with fans while flirting in quotes with them as a character as characters he voices. As he having sex with the girl, and because young girls don't know don't know better and are simply starstruck by him, he's taking advantage of them. How's he taking advantage of them? He's taking advantage of their admiration for him. Dot dot dot. What is he gaining? How should I know? If I were him, I would. Holy shit.
Well then.
Yeah, it's like it and it's the whole bit is hashtag kick Vic, everyone. Holy shit. Let's see. Who does he talk about? Let's see.
There's Rodrigo.
Yep.
And George. Huh, go figure.
And of course, the one
And
right.
Star. Yep.
Yep. Dude,
Mm.
recently checked. This is what surprised me. He recently started following me. I was like, holy shit! That made my day. Like,
I am been forever up. I saw the Sonic fan kid.
I must have missed it.
Yeah, it just keep going all the way down. It's the whole. Yeah, when will you learn?
When your actions have consequences.
Your reactions have consequences. Yeah.
PewDiePie. Wow. Yeah.
Gar. That's
I'm
great.
surrounded by idiots.
And
Man,
all right, I've been ruined by JoJo with the holy shit thing. Like, I can only think of Old Man Joe Star with his glorious English.
right. But let me get caught back up real quick on chat. We will project, accuse, and condemn you of everything we do. That'll absolve us of all our sins.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, isn't it? Yeah, even though that's been a thing forever, I think Sargon's the one who basically slapped his own name down on there with Sargon's law.
right.
Yeah,
Well, and what's sad about it is it's not that, like, when you see these people make these accusations and then it turns out that they're the ones doing it every time, it's like whenever they sit there and accuse you of something, all you gotta do is say, projecting much? Because you guys are often projecting when you accuse somebody of doing something. It's generally something that y'all are doing yourselves, and you think we're the side guilty of that because you're the ones doing it, almost always. It's like, it's sad. We shouldn't be having to have this problem. Like, and really, I don't even like know what the whole like kick Vic thing started out as. I just know that the more it keeps going on, the more their side ends up looking bad, and Vic Magnolia or something, however you say his name, ends up looking more and more like the victim to everyone who's got, once again, like half a brain that works, not the SJW quarter brain type. No, like
and
half a brain.
it all started with a bunch of rumors that Vic, like molested uh fangirls at these conventions, but then the one more stories and like freaking what helps Kick Vic get a lot of traction is people like Monica Rials or the voice of Bulma from from the Dragon Ball Z dubs. And the reason why like they know each other is mostly because Vic is the voice of Broly, but they've also have like other stuff where they work together, but that's just the most famous of the bunch.
And,
And you
and
also got Marchi. I can't remember what her full name is or what work she's done, but really just a bunch of um voice actors that Vic has worked with, and like they all call each other friends because they hang out all the time. Just kind of like betrayed them for for the infamous drop of clout, and yeah, it's just the further and further it goes on, just the more shit gets found up. And okay, I just found out that Scrump is also suspended again. Huh.
Scrump.
Yep. Apparently on the same day as Nick. That's great. And it's not. It's Scrump is always getting banned, so I'm not really surprised there. But
Right.
like one of the famous instances of Kick Vic, kind of having insert foot into mouth is with Anime Network. Do you have any idea what happened with Anime Network?
Not really.
All right, so Anime Network does this whole anti-Vic spiel where they took pictures of Vic and this one fangirl, doing their, posing for pictures. He's hugging her. He does, like kisses on her cheeks. Like being affectionate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying how it's all sexual harassment, how he groped her, this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, the actual girl whose pictures from the internet they stole from came out and said, yeah, no, this is all complete fabrication. I did not give this network permission to use these pictures. That's not at all what happened. I asked them to do these poses for me. All this other stuff.
So basically, they tried taking photos of somebody who they didn't get permission to use the photos of in the first place, remove all
They
context
they
from them.
basically tried to use her as an accessory to slander and libel.
And then she came out basically putting them on blast, saying, "No, that's not what happened. I didn't say you could do." Oh, that's hilarious, and it just goes to show the culture war in its full glory, right there. It shows that these individuals, they don't seem to learn. It's like no matter how many times their own stupidity comes, and bites them in the ass, it's like they just don't learn.
And yeah, guys, it was Jamie Marchi. It's Jamie Marchi, Monica Rial, and one other actress I can't remember the name of at the moment.
Isn't Monica Rial the one that also had a video on Twitter where she was being all buddy with Vic like just a year or two prior?
Yeah, they also had a whole thing where at one of the conventions they were talking about how they were like the best of friends, and then there was the video that leaked out where after doing some recording, like this was from like Vic's own personal phone or whatever, like he was like watching her record during a session, and then whenever she came out of it, they start being very excited with one another, and come to find out that the reason why she got that specific job was because Vic put in a good word.
That's the one I was talking about, that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I like that. And that is just one of the multitude of reasons I will not shed a tear when the Western anime industry burns to the ground and Japanese closes off access. It's going to happen in Japan.
And it's sad to think about because, despite all this, there has been absolutely fantastic anime dubs that are actually better than the original. Like, for instance, Cowboy Bebop. Even the original creators say, yeah, no, the English dub of Cowboy Bebop is the way to watch. And despite everything that's happening, the freaking Dragon Ball Z dubs are better than the original voice acting in the Japanese, because I can at least take those characters seriously, because not every single person sounds like a prepubescent child, where even Kid Trunks sounds more like a man than Goku and Vegeta.
Because, the Japanese version, their voices are all like this.
And another really great one is Bakano. Holy shit, the English voice acting for the Bakano dub is absolutely stellar. They're like the perfect voices.
Right, and then you have but may I say, I'm thankful for one reason when it comes to the American version of TVZ. We got a good Vegeta, a Vegeta that's worthwhile and allows me to be able to do the abridged Vegeta and have some fun. Damn it! Fuck you, Kakarot. I'm the one on this show, not you. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Hey, guys, get the hell.
What?
I think I had an ant on me. Anyways, guys, help me out with isn't the voice actor for Vegeta for the dub, is his name Roy, Roye, and isn't he like the fiance to Rial? Holy crap, is that guy a cuck?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Oh my god, he's been absolutely abysmal with Kick Vic. Woo.
Dude, and look what they've done to, like, for instance, and I like mentioned this, like, when I was talking about last night, where I was like, I think my artist has known me for like 20 years because when I went on my whole bit, like, I was even talking about the shit that they've done within the comic book industry, and it's like where like Tom King and Bendis and all these various writers have turned like Batman and Superman into severe cucks and pretty much just rake them over the coals for their own political gain, and just how horrible it is. Same thing's happening in the anime industry. The only reason why they don't make these characters cucks is because they can't. if they could, I'm just saying, Vegeta is manlier than his VA. Just saying. But, and but the other thing I wanted to touch on, the last real thing that I had, lined up for this evening. The Did you hear about Quentin Tarantino?
I can't remember exactly what
Okay,
the context was, but I know there was an interview where it's something to do with a female character or whatever, and he was like, but not though.
okay, okay. This is where it gets great. So, uh, Tarantino's new movie. They are running around doing the basically the press corps for it, and the one reporter asks him, "Well, you got Margot Robbie, and she's such a good actor, and this, that, and the other, and yet you didn't give her more lines in the movie, and da 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 da." And mind you, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Quentin Tarantino, Margot Robbie, you get the idea. The whole panel's up there. And
Mm-hmm.
she goes and does this whole like buzzword salad spew of things that you get the idea. And Tarantino just sits there and looks at her. It's like, well, I refute your hypothesis. And you just see like Brad, you see everyone just like Margot Robbie visually chuckles. Like you see it. Brad Pitt keeps the smirk on his face because he's trying not to laugh at this bitch for being dumb. And then all the like far left journal activists, which let's be honest, they're not journalists, they're activists, are all like, "Oh, Quentin Tarantino lost his cool. He was berating a woman. He was being so harsh with her." And in actuality, he just calmly called her on her bullshit. And this isn't the first time that Tarantino's done something like this. Like the Jeremy from the Quartering said, like even showed a clip of when he was talking about it, how a journalist tried to say that how violent Tarantino's movies are, and this, that, and the other, and would that lead to real world violence, and whoop-de-bam, and Tarantino just says, "I'm not taking the bait. I'm not even going to bother answering this question." And it's like, well done, Tarantino. And this is basically the exact same
Well,
situation.
I mean, that's what happens when you try to, get in a word fight with one of the masters of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work out.
Well, it's not even really that. It's just the fact that like Tarantino saw the writing on the wall. He knew what was going on. He knew that they were just. It was like I said. It was pure bait. Like it wasn't even good quality bait. It was low quality bait. I mean, it was so low quality bait that calling it legit bait is almost an insult to bait. Like, I will show you the level,
I
the
mean,
quality of bait that this really was. I mean, oh, I
I
don't have.
mean, I'm pretty sure he has imagined more brutal incidents than these insecure parasites have ever dished out in their life.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just sad.
Sabat. That's what it is. Okay, it's Sabat. Sabat himself is also kind of shitty.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Toy, Toy. I can't remember what exactly he does because I'm pretty sure he's a voice actor too, but he's pretty shit. But Sabat is also bad. Same thing with the voice for Goku. He's been awful.
That's the level of quality. That's how quality of bait those questions were, and that woman's question was. It's
Yeah,
that
that's pretty
quality of
bad.
bait. That's how bad the bait was. I'm just saying. All right, Neil.
Meanwhile, I'm sad that Sabat got the voice Piccolo. I miss Chris McNeil. McNeil's cool.
Like,
McNeil's the fucking best.
uh, but the That's the whole problem, though. Like, to get back to keep on track for a little bit, and then we're almost done to where we can't just talk about random culture war crap. Or almost there. Hold out just a little longer. But no, it literally who like, and the fact that they're pushing this whole like, oh well, Tarantino was, oh, he was being so cruel, so harsh, and things like that. It really is just, what do you expect from this point? And then they wonder why nobody believes them anymore. It's like the hashtag Me Too bit. Why no one believes 90% of the Me Too claims anymore. 99% almost at this point. It's like you say
Right.
hashtag Me Too, like it's like whatever. What did he look at you? He breathed in your general direction. That's what really happened, isn't it? He breathed in your direction, so now you got to go hashtag Me Too. Gotcha. And that's how this whole Tarantino situation is. It was, and then Margot Robbie goes on and talks about how, like, she completely destroyed the question very politely in her own way. And it's kind of sad that we've reached a point, though, where these activists who've infiltrated journalism will do this shit. And it's like you're seeing things from, like, of course, the usual usual suspects, Vox, BuzzFeed, Vice, things like that. They're all talking about it like, no, oh my God, he was so mean, he was so horrible. How could he do that? And then you watch the clip, and he's like, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, everyone's like, Quentin Tarantino destroys a reporter. I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting there trying to find the full clip, and literally the full clip is him going, I refute your hypothesis.
Yeah, it's the most tame thing ever. I think that's most of the reason why I don't really like. I know I've read it about it somewhere and understood the context, but it was just so tame and mundane that it just didn't stick.
Yeah, that's
It wasn't really worth anything remembering. The only thing that was really worth remembering is the freaking ridiculous backlash and support the whole thing got. It's like, I already know the answer to this. There's really no point in asking it, but it's like, don't any of you people have anything better to do?
no, because let's be honest, these individuals, we have reached a point where, because it's like I often point out when it comes to like SJWs and their lot and all these like feministas and whatnot, how the biggest reason why they keep pushing and doubling down and trying to find whatever sexism or whatever that they can, whatever racism that they can, it's because of the fact that all the battles, all the actual racists have been defeated. The actual sexists have been defeated. Women are doing fantastic now. Women are actually doing better than men in a lot of cases. In a majority of cases within Western developed countries, women are doing better than men. But they keep pushing. They keep doubling down. It's like the Gillette ad. That's one I almost like, where it's like, the whole woman talking about how she keeps pushing for more woke advertisement to punish men.
Yeah.
And it's like, you keep pushing like this. You keep pushing like this. You feminists keep doing this. You want to know what's going to happen? You're going to set women back. You're going to set women back a couple hundred years at least. And you're only going to have yourself to blame because of the fact that instead of actually doing what you should have and not, and being like, hey, we won. Congratulations, everybody. Let's move on. Let's finally, reach to the stars. Let's finally, whatever, walk off happily into the sunset, arms locked hand in hand. No. It's the same thing with anti-racist and things like that. Instead of letting us walk off into that sunset, arms locked together, singing Kumbaya, no, what they got to do is they got to sit there and be like, oh, well, it's like, the whole bit where, Troy went and shared out the one cosplay, and everyone's sharing out the Starfire cosplay that looked on point.
Mm-hmm.
And the chick doing it's black, and like nobody cares that she's black. She looks like Starfire. That's all that freaking matters. And then you have the Starfire in the Titan series that doesn't look anything like Starfire. That looks like Hooker Fire. The alien hooker here to give blowjobs and smoke meth. I don't know what hookers do. I'm just saying. And what so sad about it is like one dude even made the comment. I want to do the comment justice, so I'm actually going to look at it.
Boy.
Oh no, it really is kind of sad because of the fact that there's the thread. Let's see, Troy put it out, and I was like, "Yet we are the racists for wanting this level of care put into it." Troy was like, "How can I be racist? I want to marry this woman." And dude's like, "Haven't you heard? It's racist to like people who have a different skin tone than you." And my response was, "What's sad is they actually say shit like that because they do." They are so anti-interracial marriage now, and it's like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you guys were pushing to make interracial marriage a thing that can be done and no longer making it a crime and things like that. Now you guys are saying you're racist for wanting to marry somebody outside of your race. Literally.
Just remember, kids, mixed is ugly, separate is beautiful.
And they said this shit. That's the shit they actually say. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Well, actually, what I just said is just just 4chan, another 4chan attempt, which will be successful, like all the other attempts to, subvert the lunatic left by trying to weaponize the rainbow flag.
Right, and thank you for reminding me because I wanted to talk about the hashtag of that whole bit as well.
They just let 4chan do whatever the hell they want and not even fight against it. They just go right along with it.
Well, it's like Alyssa Milano talking about the Klan rally in Ohio, I think it was.
Yeah, even though it was only like 8 or 9 people.
9 people. 600 protesters for 9 people. 650,000 spent by the city on security for 9 people. They pulled in police and sheriffs from other districts for 9 people.
Yeah, and because of the overall turnout, the police actually had to defend the KKK from the mob.
Yeah. Oh, the irony. And it's like, what's really sad about it is then they sit there and then they do the whole bit on 4chan on poll where they're talking about, hey, let's turn the hashtag into a white supremacist, thing just to troll these guys. And then,
I'm pretty sure at this point it's a libertarian and anarchist meme that the only real members of the KKK that are left are just FBI plants at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised
because no one at all is interested in the KKK anymore.
Yeah. And what makes it worse is the fact that when these individuals do this, it's like the fact that the left actually start running stories about it and everything. And it's for, once again, I gotta cite Tim Pool. He said it best. It's like they do this because they need a villain to fight. They need the actual racists and white supremacists to be bigger than what they actually are, because of the fact that they won. They literally have already won. All these battles have already been fought out, done, over with for a while now. The anti-racists won. So of course they need to conflate this to be bigger than what it actually is. And it's like, it's just a constant, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you conflating these? It's like, they sit there and say, like I stated before, white supremacist structures of America. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. Keep saying that, Serena Williams is more disadvantaged than some poor white kid in the trailer park who's growing up with meth addicted parents. Yeah, keep saying that that kid has more privilege than Serena Williams, who's a multi-millionaire. Yeah, uh-huh.
And all she has to do is just play tennis.
I
Doesn't even have to be good at it. Just play tennis.
I know, she's so disadvantaged. So disadvantaged. And when they sit there and do this, it's like, and what makes it
And
worse.
I freaking remember getting to an argument on Twitter about inherent white privilege and this, that, and the other about like gaining jobs. I'm here like, well, how the hell can I use this? I would love to use my white privilege to get a job. It's like, well, your white privilege getting you a job is not always going to happen. It's like, well, then what's the point of it? If it's not applicable in every situation, it doesn't exist. Stop using it. I mean, hell, I freaking me and a black friend of mine at college, right? We go into the same degree, into the same job field, right? We both get an opportunity to go work at UPS, right? He's the one who got the job because, frankly, he's the better person. He scored higher on the aptitude test. Privilege had nothing to do with that shit. If there was privilege, if the privilege was to factor in, despite him being the better candidate, I would have gotten the job.
Right? And it's like I've stated time and again. Time and again. You want to talk about real privilege? You want to talk about real power? Let's talk about your ability to, without proof, get a hate mob together against a white person by the mere claim. Not even actual proof, because it won't be required. None of that. All you have to do is say, that white person's a racist. We should mob them. We should swarm them. We should brigade them. That accusation alone, you have the power to do it. It doesn't matter how much of an unknown you are. All you have to be is a person of color, and you can claim some rando white dude is a racist and said or did something racist, and you can get a hate mob together. You have that power, and you have the privilege of not requiring proof. None whatsoever. They will simply assume because the person of color said it that they must be right. That sounds a lot like privilege to me. That sounds a lot like power to me. How about you?
And even though I loathe to mention this, you remember that whole Twitter rant I did involving the Swordsfall people, right? Yeah, and that was definitely at a low point for me, and I just did not care anymore.
Well, the point being, though, is that these individuals will sit there and claim my racism, my white privilege, my this, my that, but the minute you start pointing out that they're full of shit and start pushing back with pointing out where the flaws in their ideology, instead of actually saying, okay, you got me. What do they do? Oh, you don't understand because you're racist. Yeah, it's like, you can't say someone's racist when they've already taken apart your ability to say that they're racist. Like that left-leaning, upper-middle-class, college-educated, gay community raised women are the most privileged class in America. Hashtag change my mind.
Yeah, a lot of these people just fail to realize that they're the useful idiots that'll be the first on the goddamn chopping block in the new regime.
Well, I'm buddy of mine, Samoan. He actually has a copy of the Turner Diaries. I'm going to borrow it from him when he gets it back.
All these middle class, pretty much bourgeoisie liberals, they believe that if they were to institute the communistic regime, they will be given the blessing of the upper echelon. when in all actuality they will be the first ones either in the firing squads or put into into the slave worker camps.
Right?
They, they want to be the ones where they'll be relegated the opportunity to be the state appointed artists and philosophers when they're going to be put into the factories and the mines with everybody else.
Well, what's sad is it's why I mentioned the Turner Diaries. Why I want to read the book. I might even have to. I might have to download Tor so I can actually find a copy
Oh boy.
without getting myself put on a list. You know what I mean? Because it's OG white nationalist writing.
Oh yeah.
And but what I've heard is why I want to borrow my buddy's copy is the fact that basically what in the book is described. You've heard the term "Day of the Rope" described by the various people.
Mm-hmm.
Day of the Rope references the instance in the book because he pretty much gave me a Cliff Notes variant. What you're seeing now is pretty much exactly what happened in that book. All right, it's everything started to be equated to racism, to where let's say a white woman were accused a black guy of raping her. If it actually, regardless of if it happened or not, the first thing that they'd go to is my racism. Oh, well, she's just racist. He didn't really rape her. She's just saying he did. And things like that kept happening, and no matter what, like how much proof of the actual crime was committed, these activists would just sit there and say, oh, well, it's my racism, it's my racism, it's my racism. And they kept pushing and kept tipping the scales to where finally the actual white and the giving the white nationalists new recruits by the constant rhetoric and the lies and things like that, and to where the white nationalists were able to see we're not that bad. That's nothing like how we actually are. We're just being slandered and lied about. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's so sad. And then what happened?
They end up having way more recruits than anyone could ever imagine because from the viewpoints of the people, they're the only ones that are actually giving a damn.
Yep. And so the Day of the Rope happened. Ethno-states were instituted throughout the country. Anyone who was not a part of the, whatever specific group, or you get the idea. It's basically like if you were race mixer, things like that, you were hung. And if you were, like, if you're white and you sided with the, the minorities, you were hung. Thus the term the Day of the Rope. And what do they think is going to happen when they, you know what I mean, with all these things going on? It's like you're turning this book into a self-fulfilling prophecy by your own doing. When 20, 30 years ago when that book came out, you're like, this is, we're trying to keep that from happening. That'll never happen. That is just white nationalist fantasies. That's just, the definition of a power fantasy at the time. And now look at it. It's by their own actions, that's what they're going to end up instituting. And it's like, how can you be so dumb? How can you be so ignorant to not actually see that you're bringing about this exact outcome? I mean, I'm just, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And those of us who have been actually trying to push against that, are the ones being labeled hate, the racists and the things like that. And it's like, we're actually trying to prevent these things from happening. Don't you see that? Can't you get it through your thick skull that you're actually making things worse? And when these minorities do, get it, and it's what's sad is the fact that these individuals also run. They stir up shit. They slap the actual, slap people. They do this, that, and the other, and then they run and hide behind the minority. These upper middle class, rich liberal white folk that are supposed to be the allies, what's the quickest thing they do? What's the first thing they do? They run and hide behind the actual minorities who they've turned into the useful idiots for their cause. And it's not just pathetic, it's disgusting and it's sad. And it's so frustrating because we are trying to prevent this thing from happening. So when these various 4chan trolls happen, when these various things, the hashtag and things like that keep going on, and you keep saying, "Yeah, oh no, it's real. Oh look at this going on, and look at how many people there are, and oh my God, I don't recognize my country anymore." Alyssa Milano, what do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's going to happen? The actual white nationalists are going to sit there and go, see, they're constantly lying about us. It's just a clown world, honk, honk. That's all that's going on. We're not actually like that. We're not actually that bad. I mean, come on, they get to look out for their interests. Why can't we look out for ours? I'm just saying. And it's frustrating. Beyond all, the
I mean, really, at this point, the entirety of the left is really made up of like three kinds of people. One, people who genuinely want to do some good, but are so inexperienced in how to do so that they wind up doing stuff that does more harm than anything else. Whole pathway, road to hell paved in good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the people that are so aggrieved with either their own personal slights or slights against their quote unquote, like groups, that they utterly just don't even want the perceived idea of justice and equality. They just want absolute petty revenge and instant gratification of the most, fatalistic of philosophies. And three, the most intelligent, callous leaders taking advantage of the other two.
Yep. And no worries, Neostar. I completely understand. But
And really, can't think which of the three is more pathetic than the other.
what's driving me the most nuts about this situation is the fact that it doesn't matter. It's literally you. It because of the fact that at this point it's pretty much just become a joke. Because the real anti-racists, as bad as it sounds, are the guys like us that are sitting there pulling out our hair, being frustrated and flustered by the fact that we see the writing on the wall, and we see the self-fulfilling prophecies that they are pushing for, and we can't get them to stop. No matter how many times we explain to them, you are making things worse. You are pushing people to the exact people you say you're against. Stop it. What do they do? No, that's not how it works. No, you dumb motherfucker, that is how this works. That is exactly how this works. You keep telling white people that they are not, that they're these devils and this, that, and the other, that they're automatically racist and this, that, and the other. What is it? Basically a high repetition, low low input, high repetition. There we go. Soundbite. We live in a soundbite culture. You keep telling people they're racist, and there's an actual study that proved it. And it deals with marketing. It's what marketers use, and it's all based off of the Lenin ideology, the Goebbels ideology of repetition. You keep saying it, and therefore it becomes quote unquote fact, if that makes sense. And when it's people point out, no, you're being dumb. No, you need to stop doing this. No, you really need to actually read a goddamn book on psychology and how the mind works. And then they go, I took a psychology class in college. I know what I'm talking about. Or I took sociology. I know what I'm talking about. To quote a specific friend of mine who I've constantly mentioned.
I took a psychology class in college. The only thing I ever got anything out of that is how stomach hormones work.
All right, and
I don't remember anything else from that class. It was not interesting at all. They tricked me. It wasn't a class on psychology. It was a medical class.
wow. But you
Yeah.
get but you get my point though. Like when you actually sit down and look at the what they are doing, and you actually try to point out the fuckery that is afoot of what they're doing, they sit there and be like, "I don't know, no, you don't know what you're talking about." Like the meme goes, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." And it's like, "No, you dumbass. That's exactly how this works. Read a goddamn book." And every
And
time you keep calling somebody a racist, every time you keep saying, "What's up, Mecca?" But every time you keep saying, someone is,
Mecca.
someone is this constantly, you're not the first one to say it, more than likely. But you may end up being the last before they just go, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm a racist." And literally, like that one straw man, the one lefty artist that draws these straw, like, puts their argument against the straw man. And the one where the dude's like put a swastika in his head, or was tattooing a swastika into his forehead and things like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can we just go back to the 80s and 90s when things weren't awful and big gay, please? I just want to enjoy shit again. I agree. I agree. I just want to enjoy shit again. It'd be nice. It really would. And the fact that we're constantly dealing with this shit, it's like you had won. The anti-racist won. All you have to do is take a goddamn knee. Take a knee. Shut the fuck up and take a knee. Did you do it? No. You kept pushing.
You know, a little fun fact about that Swords Fall rant that I did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Swords Fall always brags about how they're super aggressive at blocking people who are racist, who are haters, who are this, that, and the other, and specifically stated how blocking was going to be super aggressive with incorrect responses to their little thing about their honor to black servicemen and women who fought for a country that never fought for them. And my response has been up for hours, almost getting close to a day. And I even unfollowed them because of this whole stupid, pathetic display of insecurity they have going on. And yet I am not blocked. Nor have I gotten a response. Or anything.
Because they know they know. See, that's the thing. If the smart ones won't block you because they know if they block you, they're just showing you that, one, they have nothing. Two, they know you're right, and they would rather block you and be like, and then talk shit about you behind behind a block wall. And three, quite frankly, that it's all ideologically driven, and they know it, and they know you know it. And it's funny you mentioned that, because it's like, there's a lot of people who are, for instance, my brother-in-law, black. He was sent over to Iraq. I've had, and there's a lot of people in the military who will sit there and say, Brian Ball, if you ask him, will even tell you, racism is not tolerated within the military. Yes, in World War II, black people did come back for, deal with the country who did not support them. But at the same time, they had the respect of every other soldier, every other, non-commissioned soldier and, non-commissioned officer and whatnot that fought with them. They had their respect. Just because the government didn't respect them didn't mean the other soldiers didn't. Maybe if you've read a history book, maybe if you knew something about military culture, maybe if you actually took the time to talk to some soldiers, you might actually learn something. But no, these guys don't. These guys just will sit there and virtue signal to their heart's content because that's all they know how to do. Virtue signal and click those online backpacks where they're practically dislocating their soldier to the soldier to do it. And it's, oh, man, it's such a grotesque display of self-flagellation. And, when they get called on their bullshit and they know they don't have a rebuttal, most of the time that's what they do. They block. And like I said, the only reason why they didn't block you is because they knew. They knew if they blocked you, they would have pretty much just proven you right to everyone watching. Everyone with half a working brain watching would be like, he's right. He just pointed it out. Why are you blocking it? Why aren't you rebuttaling? Oh, because he's right. And he's right.
And meanwhile, the most unforgivable thing of all is just me being absolutely just disappointed because, I mean, I have, went way on my way to show out their product because I found it to be of great quality, absolutely unique in its make. It was overall just a product that was, worth its time and money. And I even at one point defended the guy because he shared, experiences of, racist attacks he's had whenever he went to school and someone was giving him an absolutely retarded hard time. Like if you remember right, this is the guy that basically said that segregation was the exact same as people, willingly going into their own, ethnocentric neighborhoods of their own volition. You remember that? Yeah. And they do that whole thing that I found an absolutely pathetic and disgusting display of insulting anyone and everyone who has struggled to gain this modicum of equality that we have today and genuinely strive to further it. And I just get nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I didn't even get the respect of a reply or anything. Just ignored.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. It's why I said, those of us who are actually trying to get everyone to work together, get everyone on the same page, like it's take for instance the whole Star Trek Discovery bit. The how they've just made Star Trek Discovery all about more representation and more this, more that, and it's like the whole point of Star Trek is we'd finally moved on from that. We finally started working together because of the fact that we understood we can't be infighting if we're going to be in the freaking stars. And whenever you sit there and be like, we need to stop this infighting and whatnot, they're like, we're my representation, you're just a racist right now. You know what? You're just a retard that needs to shut the fuck up and let the adults talk. That's really how I feel about it. It's like every time these assholes sit there and start running their mouth, I get to remind them that the adults are talking and they need to shut up. Because that's literally what's going on. The adults are having an intelligent, well thought out conversation. They are trying to figure out solutions to problems that you idiots created in the first place that weren't here 20 years ago. Even with all the problems, like, it's, you can sit there and point out things and specific situations where like take for instance the whole Ferguson Mike Brown situation. It's not cut and dry. There's so much misinformation around that situation that I don't know who's right. I really don't. Why? Because the activists kept running their mouth. What's up, Chuck? But because the activists kept running their mouth, because the those who, you know what I mean, who knew where they're talking, tried to out talk them, but because the misinformation, you get the idea. It's like when you have situations like that, people just go, dropping it. It's too hot of a potato for me, so I'm just dropping it.
Eh. Hmm. Alright, there was something I wanted to say, but I'm kind of blanking on it right now.
Sorry, I
Hmm.
kind of went on a rant. That was my bad. But you get the point, though. We should be the whole point of what we were trying to be at this point in time was arms locked. Yeah, pretty much dropping it like it hot, but arms locked together, walking off into the sunset, saying "Kumbaya," no longer fighting over shit that does not fucking matter. No, no. Instead, let's squabble and bicker like we're a bunch of fucking children. Literal shit that causes aneurysms is all I gotta say to this.
Yeah, pretty much. And like I'm just not sure why these people keep thinking they're doing a good job with keep bringing up old shit people are trying to move past and improve in the future, and just keep dragging us back down. It's it is it's just like everyone else who abuses the well, I shouldn't even say abuse it because they don't even acknowledge the opportunities that a postmodernist mindset allows. Postmodernism deconstructs things down to a blank slate so you can build something better. But instead of allowing people to build something better, they prefer that they just think that because they are wallowing in the mud, everyone else should as well. If someone were to try and build, there's a chance they get left behind again, and they can't have that. So they rather hang on to their insecurities and their pettiness to drag people down and end up becoming a parasite where instead of getting blood and sustenance, they are just getting acknowledgement and any kind of minute feeling of accomplishment or companionship in their absolutely pathetic natures. It's worse than parasitic. It's something else entirely. And quite frankly, it just puts a disgusting taste in my mouth.
Well, the Mecca said it best: crabs in a bucket. Pure and simple, crabs in a bucket. We can't move past. It's one of the things that always drive me nuts about this is we can't move forward because all these regressive leftists, all these people, all these grievance studies individuals, of all ethnicities, not just white, not just black, not just Latin, not just Asian, of all ethnicities, of all parts of the world, are too busy looking back behind us, worrying about shit that's there. That's there. Are we there? Are we dealing with those same problems anymore? No, we're here. Want to know where we should be looking? We should be looking that way. Why? Because that's the future. That's where we're trying to go. Let's stop looking back this way. Start looking that way. I'm just saying. You who's constantly looking backwards cannot move forwards. This is common sense shit.
And instead of harping all the time on how the big bad white man enslaved the black people, recognize that the only reason why they did that is because black people were selling other black people, and that was a lot easier to get their hands on than enslaving other white people, so they moved to that. And before even that happens, again, white people enslaved other white people. In fact, right now, today, as we speak, we have Asians, Arabs, and still black people still enslaving Africans. And not acknowledging the fact that it's only in Western white civilizations and in not exactly all, possibly most Asian countries have pretty much have on the books outlawing slavery of any kind.
Yep. And that's the problem. Like, look at Libya. Libya is now enslaving and selling African slaves again. harvesting them for their organs and this, that, and the other. Which that is our fault. That is America's fault. We should have never gone into Libya. We should have stayed the fuck out of it. Hashtag thanks, Obama.
Yeah, thanks Obama for making slavery cool again.
Right? I like that. Neil Star is not lying. Seth MacFarlane made an arguably better Star Trek show through parody than the current Star Trek show. Yep.
I think that's in reference to someone making fun of the the acronym of Star Trek Discovery. STD.
But it's sad that we have this situation. It's like I wouldn't when I kind of the whole whatchamacallit,
and people should also recognize that even though I'm still very much in the camp that the Civil War, well, for one thing, we shouldn't even really call it a civil war. It's a reunification war, because why would the South fight for succession when they already seceded? But
right.
but anyways, I'm still very much in the camp that the Civil War was not about slavery at all whatsoever. But
It really wasn't.
We still had an entire war where thousands of people died of all sorts of creeds and ethnicities died to end racism. We've ended slavery with that war officially on the books.
Yep. And
we are the only country that has done that.
Right. But look, this is just I made this meme years ago. I think it was still under Obama's first term when I made this meme. And it still rings true today. It still rings true today. And it's like that. And literally, it's like I've pointed out to people, and you've heard me say it time and again. If you really look at where we're at now, it's all because under Obama, him constantly pushing intersectional, ideology and rhetoric and things like that brought about all these issues. Instead of just letting us work together, and he had to push intersectionality. He had to and it was funny is if you actually look at a lot of the things going on, like he was one of those that was constantly talking about how the the gender wage gap and this, that, and the other. And then come to find out, his administration was doing that exact same thing, but it's rules for thee, not for me.
I remember the cringe of Kamala Harris using the freaking wage gap as a freaking political platform.
Ugh. And what's so frustrating about that is the fact that it's no matter how many times the gender wage gap has been debunked, it keeps coming back. Keeps coming back. It's like
insert shoe on head wage gap button gif here.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty freaking much. And like 90% of these situations, you sit there like that have you can sit there and say institutional this. How? It's like a video I saw earlier. It's Larry Elder talking about basically being honest about things and warning, unpopular opinion, talking about police pulling over or police in the black community and things like that, and like a lot of people sit there and try to argue with me when I sit there and say the worst thing to happen to the black community was gangster rap, not hip hop, gangster rap. Why? Mm-hmm. In most cases that where art cannot be, or art is not influential on life because it's blatant fiction. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's a clear distinction with gangster rap. Gangster rap, the gangster rap requires a sense of realness. If you are not believable, like Will Smith could not come out and start doing gangster rap today.
Oh no, there is no way whatsoever Will Smith can go onto a record and start rapping about how he You know about his gang banging days and peddling crack on the street corner. No, he can't do that.
No,
He
the same
he
thing.
he has ruined any possible chance of an image of being hardcore in any way.
Take for instance Little Bow Wow. He tried doing that and he got laughed out of the rap game. Laughed out. Why? Because he's been rapping since he was like 9, 10 years old. When you have so that's the point I try to make. It's like there's a video by that guy T. I suggest you watch it. I'll try to find it and put in a link in chat. But where he's talking about how like he even refuted himself, saying, "Well, it's not exactly that. It's more, nuanced and things like that." And it's like, well, actually, which I don't know what happened to him. He like uh, pretty much just dropped off the face of the earth. I don't think he's put out a video in for fuck all ever.
Yeah, like most people nowadays.
Well, I think he just got tired of it. Like his last video he put out.
Blame him.
Well, neither do I. I mean, there's only so much. Not everyone can handle the culture war. Oh, he put out his last video by looks of it. He put out was 6 months ago. So,
Well, Neostar, you may say they'll never enforce reparations, but dear Lord, they'll never shut up about it.
yeah,
Fucking hate the idea of reparations. It's the most retarded shit ever imaginable.
oh yeah, no, I completely agree. Like he even has a video about the term coon and how it's used as a slur for black people who don't follow the Democrats and don't follow the black left talking points, the like Farrakhan's, the Al Sharpton's, Jesse Jackson, those their talking points. You know, the people who ride on the back of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, the ones who actually did shit.
May makes me wonder what they think of the term coon ass, which isn't even about black people.
But that's the whole point. Is it is so ridiculous the shit that they do. Like like I said, you should check out his channel in general. Like it is.
Yeah, I think I've seen some videos from that guy T, though it's been a while.
He's a smart motherfucker, dude. Real smart motherfucker. I like him. He's does his best to actually point out, hey, this shit is dumb. Why are we arguing about this shit? Like it's basically how it's constantly just a whole bunch of. Ooh, I need to check that out. I didn't even know he did that video. But it was basically like that's why I'm trying to find it, where he called out gangster rap for what it is and how it's more destructive because of its focus on realism. How any rapper that's not real can't really get ahead because of the fact that it's just so impossible. And then, and so many people have come back and said, no, that's not how this works. It's just fiction. It's just music. It doesn't do anything. Yet, how come you have a bunch of black youth that try to act like they're in the goddamn music videos, that try to act like, they are a bunch of gangbangers? Do you think gang culture would have gotten as big as it did without gangster rap? No.
It probably still would have, because there's more to the factor of them being within very dire home straits, and really probably the only time they ever really feel like they're ever part of anything is with a gang. And really the influences of gangster rap are probably there, but compared to other factors, it's probably very minor. The most it'll probably do is just give a sense of direction.
I disagree. Like, yeah, you can sit there and say, oh, well,
because ultimately I never want to set the precedents that anything artistic or fictitious can influence real life in some
But
capacity, because that would lead to all sorts of shit we don't even want to even start thinking about.
well, and I understand that, but here's the thing.
But also it'd be much more constructive to tackle other issues than what people are listening or watching or playing.
But here's the thing. There it is. There it is. Here's the thing. The problem is the fact that.
Plus, also there's the fact that being in a gang is also very lucrative if you know what you're doing.
But the point I'm making is the fact that without it'd be different. There you go. It's in the LinkedIn chat now. Finally, it'd be different if it was simply, oh well, that one aspect. But it's not. It is like so connected to realism. When you pass something off that's supposed to be fiction as fiction, okay, that's not a problem. But these rappers try to pass off what they talk about in their music as fact, as legit things that have actually happened, and so on and so forth. They try to, even if it is fiction, even if they say, that, like, take for instance, Snoop Dogg got brought up on charges because of lyrics that he said in the song, and they tried using the lyrics against him. And he had to go, well, it's just a part of his image and things like that. But when that is your image, some young impressionable child that we were talking about impressionable children earlier. When some impressionable child is, hearing this, they're not looking at it as this is, fiction. They are actually believing it. They are actually thinking it's real. Whereas, like, comic books, video games, things like that, and what makes it worse is their parents are reinforcing it, like, yeah, that's that real shit. Don't, and I'm sorry, I've heard them, they'll say shit like this too many times. If you look at, like, take for instance, like, World Star, I think that's the right site. It encourages that type of mentality and that type of culture. It makes it work. It's how, as Tim Pool says, how many grains of sand finally end up making a heap? I'm not saying it's true for everything, but there is a point where you have to actually look at it and go, okay, maybe there's actually something here. Maybe, and it's not. That combined with regressive leftist policies that have done more damage to wreck the black family. Democrat put. It basically the Nixon, actually, if I remember right, or no, it wasn't Nixon. It was Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson. Sorry, Nixon did the war on drugs. Johnson did the whole introducing of welfare, and he specifically did it. He is quoted saying that if we get with welfare, we will keep these N-word voting for us for the next 100 years. He is quoted saying that. That combined with the war on drugs, combined with I guess you could say, like, the more the corruption of black culture through the most nefarious means by individuals that put dollar signs before their fellow man. And like, for every Dolomite and Shaft, there's a dozen others that brought out the worst aspects of the black community that damaged it. And they were all Democrats. All of them that pushed this. Why? Because I do honestly believe it was tied into trying to get people to vote a specific way. Because basically, it bad as it sounds, they knew what they were doing. Propaganda combined with keeping them oppressed and making sure that they voted a specific way. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, it sounded like you were running off there for a second.
No, I was trying to take my glasses off so I can clean them, and then my headset was kind of slipping off.
Gotcha. But you get my point.
Yeah.
It's I'm not saying it's just that, but I'm saying it is one component out of many that but it did do the most damage. I truly believe that gangster rappers, like, they hurt the black community the most because they put such a they put poor expectations on black youth that they should not have, instead of encouraging them. And don't get me wrong, there are more black kids going to college right now than are in prison, but at the same time, there are still way too many black youth that are trying to live that gangster lifestyle. I think there should be no black individuals that are doing things that are putting them within the sights of law enforcement. Instead of gangster rap, what they should be rapping about is getting an education, doing right by your community, respecting your parents. If you create a child, don't run off. Sit there, marry the woman, do the right thing, take care of your kids, do what you got to do. Don't be so destructive to your community. That's what I think, the message should be, because it's what is required. But when you see people, and people like talk about my representation, but there is such a thing as toxic representation, to use their own terminology. They pulled the plug on him. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Star, but
I'm not sure whose
no,
helm he's referring to.
huh? I think you're talking about me.
I don't know.
But like it literally, I think. But you get my point. It is. I'm not saying it's as simple as one thing. I'm not saying it's simple as one thing. I'm just saying that it is a very like I. You get my point. It's something that I look at the left and I see the problem. They're holding back a specific group, and then they sit there and point at Republicans, white people, this, that, and the other, saying they're the ones that are guilty. Once again, the never-ending projection. And then when black people do say, you know what, maybe it isn't the Republican, maybe it isn't white people, maybe it's these Democrats that are actually holding us back because they want our votes, and leave the party, what do? They turn around and call you coons. They call you race traitors. They call you this. They call you that. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Let people discover themselves. Maybe they'll be back. Maybe they're just going through a phase. Instead of being insulting, how about you sit down and actually have a conversation with them? But anyway.
Supposed to bring things to a bit of a brighter focus to give us some hope in this grim, dark world. Apparently, the French Senate has decided to do a restoration of the original Notre Dame.
Yes, I saw that earlier, actually. I'm glad you remembered that. And that's actually a good thing to talk about. Be our last subject before calling it a night.
I'm definitely very much appreciative of it, because despite me being an atheist, I've always wanted to go for Notre Dame for the historical and artistic aspect, because the Notre Dame is one of the greatest feats of human engineering, and coupled with some of the best human artistic capabilities, and I've always wanted to go visit it, right? And when I saw the fire, I felt a great loss with it, even though I got like no attachment to it, because I don't live near it. I hold no spiritualistic values to it. I just
But your
felt
heart
like a great amount of humanity just lost with it.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And then when I saw that there was surprisingly very minimal damage done to the structure. I it felt like a fantastic day, and I was hoping that I really should not have expected otherwise, and I shouldn't have got my hopes up. But I was hoping that it wasn't even going to be up for debate, that they would do a full,
Restoration.
full 100% restoration to the original. At worst, they were gonna add in like some new pieces of artwork or whatever to commemorate it surviving the fire,
Yeah.
and then that would be it. But then when I saw that this whole, we should have a competition of what the best restoration project would look like, and all these concepts of all these things with it, I'm like, no, don't. Not only would you be ruining the friggin' artistic and architectural value of the building, you're also going to absolutely ruin the a great portion of the French economy of people who either tour there or pilgrimage there. It's not going to work out well for anybody. What are you thinking? Stop it.
And did you hear some of the things that they were talking about doing? The guy that they got to do it, like Paul Joseph Watson, did a video, and basically this dude has a thing for making buildings that are phallic in nature, to say the least.
Well, to be fair, it's kind of hard to not make a phallic building considering how physics work.
Well, yes, but like one of the buildings he designed was specifically meant to be a penis, literally a building shaped like a penis.
So it's not penis shaped by chance and ergonomics, it's penis by aesthetics.
Yes.
Ugh, okay.
Alright, like, they were talking about, like, one of the things they were talking about was putting a big glass spire on there, as well as putting the crescent moon and star, I think is what it is, for Islam on it.
It's a it's a Catholic cathedral dedicated to Mary.
I know. Believe me, I know. You know this. I know this. Those watching know this. Everyone here is on the same page that it just needs to be restored for historical purposes. To its full glory. For historical purposes. Not turned into some grotesque postmodern.
Friggin' auto masturbatory depiction of inclusivity and hey, we're not bad people. We accept everybody diversity.
Yeah, it's like, no. It is a Catholic church that has been there for damn near 1,000 years. What the hell are you doing?
It's a cathedral that's rang its bell at the end of both world wars.
Thank you. But that's the thing. It's like the whole bit. I haven't even seen The Last Jedi, right? But I can tell you a lot of shit about that movie because I watched a lot of videos on it. A lot of YouTube videos because,
Thank you, Mueller, for taking the bullet for people who don't need to take the bullet.
Yeah, all right. But
to be fair, I have a lot of legitimate fun listening to Mahler's like half a day video strings of videos. They are works of art in of themselves.
Not even my source. That's the best part. Just different people doing different videos. But one of the things that I got from it was basically something like sometimes you gotta destroy the past to move on to the future, or something along the line.
Yeah, kill it if you have to.
Yeah. And that's what this is all about. It's killing history.
It is funny that the people who love to tout that line are the ones that brings up history all the damn time.
Yeah,
They
where
don't want to let go of history because if they do that, they lose their freaking
talking
hold
points.
on people.
Yeah, I know. I know. But see, that's the thing. They want to kill history, but kill the good parts of history. They want to keep the bad parts of history alive, but they want to kill the good parts of history. They want to destroy Notre Dame. They want to destroy anything and everything that means something of value. Take that one castle that got turned into a modern art exhibit. Looks atrocious with yellow lines on it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how they turned like as another cathedral that was turned into like this glass fucking
Yeah, they got like this whole glass cube ceiling thing.
yeah like
Which I mean,
no
and like granted, like most things, it could look good. They just didn't bother.
no because postmodernism
Because glass and religion can have a fucking great aesthetic. They're like made for each other.
painted glass.
They didn't
Oh no, that's
bother.
right. That's right. The one dude that went and converted the cathedral's painted glass windows into this horrible abomination where it was all randomized by a computer.
Instead of doing what Mosaic is supposed to do, where you're supposed to make images or abstract spiritual feelings with the colors.
Yep.
Because a lot of those abstract things, you're making them not for the glass itself, but for for the light going through the colors, hitting certain parts of the church.
Yep. Oh, I know. I know. Oh, believe me, I know. And it really is sad because it's like when
This is the goddamn atheist here who knows more about symbology and spiritualism than these.
I know. Oh
Oh
no,
my god.
I know. I'm right there with you. I was an atheist.
And not only just an atheist, but an atheist who's a lot of the times borderlines anti-theism just due to his anti-authoritarian nature.
Yep. I know. Oh, I know. Believe me, I know.
What the hell kind of mad world we're living in where I'm the one who wants a cathedral back to what it should be?
I know.
Uh,
I know. And it's sad because once again, we're talking about this and we're actually trying to like we want to see it preserved for its historical value. And other in these postmodernists are like, oh, let's just make it into this tourist trap. Glass everywhere. Let's put a
even though I have the exact opposite thing where no one's going to visit there.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, and the French Senate knew it. I think that's why they were like, no.
It's like, look, if we do this thing where it's going to look just goddamn horrible, no one's going to go there. We need to keep our tourism money.
Yeah, yeah, because tourism, especially with how high of a, basically a what you call it, a welfare state, if you will, that France is. You know, socialism.
I mean, France is as tourist nation as you can possibly get. There is literally no other nation in the entire goddamn world that has as many tourist attractions as France.
And they were going to shit all over that just to get, just for my postmodernism and my fifis. Like,
And also, didn't some else catch on fire
well,
roughly at the same time as Notre Dame?
well, it's more of the fact that there's been several cathedrals within France that have been burned, and
Oh yeah, because there's like a whole string of anti-Catholicism actions, and they've even like caught quite a few people trying to destroy the Notre Dame.
and I think what you were also thinking of was the fact that it was they were planning it was somebody who was caught planning on burning down a cathedral within New York City like a week or two later. I think
You
that's
know,
what you're
I,
talking
I would attempt to try and say Notre Dame's true name, but holy crap, it's been so long since I spoke French, I probably will butcher the pronunciation.
about. Right.
Oh,
And
and when I was little, I used to be on fucking point with not exactly my French, but my French pronunciation because I lived in Louisiana. French was everywhere around me.
yep, that's no lie. And to help liven up the stream a bit, kitty. Look at
Got
kitty.
the cat.
Oh yeah, he hopped up in the lap and was like, "Human, love me. I want lovin's."
You do know what Notre Dame actually means, right?
Mm,
No.
nope.
Notre Dame is actually the French. It's actually a French phrase, which is a title for the Virgin Mary. It's Our Lady.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, that's why there's actually a great deal of Notre Dames in a lot of places. I'm pretty sure Canada has a few of them.
Nice.
But yeah, Notre Dame just means Our Lady, and when you combine it with cathedral, it basically means the Cathedral of Our Lady, and then you add de Paris, which will make the Cathedral of Our Lady of in Paris.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know that the mic cat, that's not for you to love up on. Yes, that's not for you to love up on. He's all like, I'm going to rub up on the mic. I don't care if these people have to hear me loving on the mic or not.
And a great deal of Notre Dames were actually made in the time of the Gothic era because it was within the Gothic area. There was the high, high emphasis on Mary.
Well, if you.
She was the figure during the time of the Gothic era.
Mhm. Like, dude, it's just sad, though, that they even, like I said, I'm so mad that they even thought that it was going to be a good idea to.
I mean, there is
Upgrade it.
merit to the idea of an artistic competition to, I guess, in some way improve the Notre Dame. But dear Lord, every time the further and further people talked about, the more nightmarish it became.
Oh, yeah.
I was not a. What that competition should have been was a competition for additions to the Notre Dame to commemorate and honor the spirit of France and the strength of the cathedral during and after the fire, in addition to the full original restoration.
Yep. But they wouldn't do that.
That could have some great potential.
Yeah, of course, that could have had great potential because of the fact that it actually would have been interesting to see. Would have, preserved the spirit of, the
Did you just
historical.
preserve the tenacity of the French spirit and the absolute miracle that it is that the Notre Dame and all the artifacts and artworks within it survived, as well as be able to further add on to the history of the Notre Dame itself.
Yep. Real talk,
Think
dude.
of like not only could you have done something to commemorate the fire, you could have done all sorts of other things like commemorate the fact that it rang its bell at the end of both world wars.
Yeah.
It survived so many tragedies throughout human history. You could have done so much with it.
No, I completely agree. I really do. And it's frustrating that, like
It's
I said,
it combines my disappointment in humanity, frustrations, and ruining history, and my disappointment of having something great happen.
uh huh. It's just like I said. It was a thanks the gods that, you know what I mean. They actually did step in and say no, don't do this. let's keep it the way it is. Because
Even Macron was freaking shit boosted out of discussions of it. The Senate were having none of any of it.
yeah, and I'm glad. I really am glad because it was unneeded, and it would have just it would have. Oh, I'm sorry, it would have just killed it. Like
And like
I
you can already just blame them for it's the yellow vest riot. Like we don't even call it a protest anymore. It's like a full on riot now. But is the yellow vest riot still ongoing?
yeah, they are. I think they still are. And
Holy crap! They're going to be like the freaking protests of South Korea. They're going to go on for a whole goddamn year.
oh yeah, dude, and it's all because
Possibly even more so, considering how this one is kind of way more violent than the South Korean protest went.
well, it's partly because of the fact that let's be honest.
And, you know, I actually would not be surprised if I would not be surprised if nobody in this audience even knows what I'm talking about with South Korea.
I don't.
Oh my god, you don't know about South Korea?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember that whole thing when they found out that their government was ruled by a shadow government?
Nope.
Done in by like an entire council of like the richest billionaires of South Korea, and the freaking South Korean president went on live national TV saying that yes, she was indoctrinated into the whole thing and was just a puppet leader. They had like a whole freaking manhunt for one of the members.
Oh wow.
It was a whole ordeal. They had like an entire protest for a whole year demanding that that the South Korean president resign.
Hey. I don't catch everything. I'd be lying if I said I did.
That was a whole goddamn thing. And I was already disappointed that literally no American freaking media organization covered it.
Are you really surprised? Let's be
And
honest.
it was a whole thing for the internet too, because holy shit, 4chan called that a mile away.
That's funny. That is.
Like they had like a whole thing where someone who an ANAOT in South Korea freaking did a whole anime called it. There was an anime that had this exact same like down to a T called this, and there's even connections to a goddamn cult.
Hey, stop whacking my mic, asshole.
It was like the moment where you realize we are going into a clown world.
Honk honk.
It was proto clown world at the time.
I'm not surprised, dude. I'm really not. It's like I said, and that's like I said, we're probably gonna be. I think it's time we, start wrapping it up now. But wow,
Oh, God, that was a trip down memory lane. I haven't thought about that since my freaking 4chan days.
right.
Woo.
And for those who don't know, if 4chan is a scary place. If you've never been there, I envy you. I really do. I fucking envy you.
It is simultaneously the scariest place on the internet and the most wholesome place on the internet. It's actually kind of scary. That in of itself is kind of scary.
Right? No, dude. Only reason why you go to B, you laugh, you lose, Threads. Let's be honest. Only reason to go to B. Like, oh,
and of course you also go onto there if you ever need something found out, because holy cow, weaponized autism is a hell of a thing.
hashtag not your personal army.
Freaking Shia LaBeouf of all people will can tell you that much.
Right?
The most infamous game of capture the flag there ever was.
Didn't they find it within like 12 hours?
Oh my god! No matter how he tries to hide it, there's no way. They even used the wood paneling of the hotel he used to figure out where the hell he was at.
Uh-huh.
There is no escape from the autism.
Oh, nope.
They even use freaking like cloud trajectory and freaking flight schedules because there was an airplane there in a picture to find out where he's at. Like, what the heck? And then they freaking used like face recognition technology and databases to find masked Antifa members so they can get arrested for the crimes they've done during their riots.
I actually kind of support that. I'm not even gonna lie. Those guys need to be taught a lesson. Those guys need, like, the less. I don't like authoritarians. I really don't. And those guys hide behind their mask. They hide behind it. They use the tools for, I guess you could say, of what's supposed to be an actual revolution against a legit authoritarian government to fight a what? Orange man bad because evil Drumpf got elected and not my Queen Henry.
I take it though. I mean, you're very much a pro anonymous guy.
I do believe there are not. I guess the best way to put it is anonymous beings are a good thing when it's used for the right end, but when it's used for
Actually, I meant anonymous, the hacker group that came from 4chan.
oh, you mean the guy that act the real
The decentralized mixed bag people, but for the most part, they've done more good than harm.
Yes,
like
the real anonymous, the real guys that actually brought about change, that fought corruption.
The ones that gave freaking WikiLeaks most of their leads.
Yeah.
The ones that would go into cases of absolute abuse of, and just the ones that I can't remember the town name, but the one where the football players raped that girl, and they tried to cover it up. They figured that out. They've also done covert supply. Somehow managed to do covert supply drops to the Egyptian people during their blackout.
Yep,
To get them supplies and survival manuals and all that good stuff.
Yep, like the ones that did, like I support, like I said, the real anonymous, not the faux anonymous that Antifa had infiltrated and weaponized for their ends. No, the real anonymous, the ones that.
Just one moment, someone's knocking at my door.
But yeah, it's for the rest of y'all. I support the white hats, the guys that actually, not the white helmets. You ain't got the white hats, the white hat hackers that actually do good things and actually try to, make the world a better place compared to.
Not too much longer.
The I guess you could say destruction of liberties and whatnot. The real anonymous, the ones that supported civil liberties, supported freedom of speech, supported actually seeing war crimes be exposed and things like that.
We never forgive. We never forget. Stay anonymous.
Yep, the real anonymous.
Well, at any rate, we should wrap up now because my parents want me to do something for them.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I guess I'll let you do the closing pitches first.
You just came back for the wrap up, Gorgon.
Yep, and remember, traps are gay.
Well, traps in themselves aren't gay by nature, but liking traps is hella gay, bro.
So I can't argue with that.
Anyways, I am Duskwell. You can catch me on my YouTube channel for my monthly showcase show for indie tabletop games and interviews for creators thereof. In a few days, I will be having a video out where I'll either be interviewing someone from someone who is creating additional rule sets to D&D 5e, or because I'm not really receiving any word from them on an exact time and date, sort of like the people from last month. Or I could be having another sort of chill stream possibly with the people over at Wicked coming on to join me, as well as showing off a project I've been working on that's been on the back burner for a bit. So look forward to that live stream at some point in either tomorrow or Thursday. And you can also catch me on Twitter at Dusquill_team, where you can get my Patreon, my just my PayPal, all that good stuff. You want to support me for my own tabletop projects, as well as for my own comics, which I'm still very much working on and can't wait to get started since the Mythoverse got completely funded. That means my project is good to go in the near future. So we'll see how all that turns out. And I'd like to thank you all for coming in and hear us rant about this clown world we're living in.
Oh yeah, like I said earlier, dude. In our message talking about this, grab some beer, pull up a lawn chair, and watch the motherfucker burn. But as always, I am your host, the one and only Bob Jones. You can find me on Twitter at Brainiac420. You can find me on Minds, Gab, TikTok, and Instagram at Bob Jones Comic Board. You can find me on BitChute as Bob Jones. And with that, I shall bid you folks adieu.
You all have a good one.